I promise I will not kill you until you reach the top.
That's very comforting, but I'm afraid you'll just have to wait.
I hate waiting.
What's going on, my geeks? I'm Kakuya Otaku, and welcome to Home Base Serenity, where today we're discussing Fortnite Save the World. This time, celebrating quite a few huge milestones, not only for my account, but for my channel as well. So to celebrate, I thought I'd do a new account overview video, since it's been over 300 days since the last one I did. A lot of things have changed since then, so I think this is a great thing to do for today. I'm going to go through my heroes, defenders, weapons, a few traps, my collection book, and lastly, my survivor squads. I'm not going to go into great detail with the heroes though, as the most important ones are shown in my hero loadout videos. I just have a lot more maxed out heroes than I thought I would, thanks to the Be the Boss series and my Comic Book Legends series, so I thought I'd go over the heroes in general too. So the first milestone I want to discuss today is how long I've been playing the game. If I go into my daily rewards, you can see that I've logged into the game for 515 days as of the day I'm recording this part. It's probably closer to 530 or 540 days, honestly, as I know I've missed at least 15 to 25 days because of the dozen or so I missed at the very beginning when I was still trying to figure this game out, and a few random days here and there afterwards. But that's still a pretty huge deal for me. I've been thinking about doing an account overview update for a while now, but I'm glad that I waited this long to do it, because it's a perfect way to celebrate some of the other milestones. But I'll get to that in a moment. For now, let's move on to the heroes. Like I said, I'm not going to go into great detail with my heroes here, but I do want to show them off a little bit. According to Walden MC on Twitter, there were 176 total unique heroes and 23 reskins that were in the game as of January 11th of this year. I asked him what that number was now, and he says it's 202 total, including the reskins. Of those, I have 155 at various levels, so that's around 75% or so. There are several that I have in the collection book that I do not have in my quote-unquote inventory, for lack of a better term, because it's not a hero I felt that I'd ever use. I do try to get a duplicate of each of those in my inventory in case I do end up needing one for a loadout video that I wasn't planning on doing at that point. So of those 155 heroes in my inventory, I have 76 that are maxed out at power level 130 and 79 that are below 130. Most of those below 130 are level 1 still. I do want to continue to work on these as time allows, because it's always good to have lots of high level heroes to send out on expeditions, but it's not something I'm focusing on at the minute. I just level heroes up as I need them for loadouts right now. The next heroes that I plan to level up are the 3 power level 82 heroes that I use in my Archaeologist loadout, unless something new comes out beforehand. Now I want to quickly move on to my defenders, and I do mean quickly, as I really only use 2 defenders most times. I have a sniper defender at power level 130 and an assault rifle defender at power level 130, and those are the main 2 that I use. I also have the epic assault rifle defender Jill that is modeled after an Epic Games employee, and she is also maxed out, but I don't use her as much. I had made a plan in the past to have at least 3 assault rifle defenders maxed out and a few sniper defenders as well, but I don't really know if I'll ever actually do that or not. From there, let's move on to the schematics. And the first thing you'll see here on the back wall behind Clip is that I do have all 5 mythic weapons. They are all maxed out at power level 130 with full legendary perks. I'll go over all those in a moment, but I'm going to start off with my ranged schematics. Now before I do, I want to say that I still don't have as many as the other content creators do, but I am very proud of my progress since the last video. In fact, when I did my last account overview video, I didn't have a single power level 130 schematic, period. And I think I only had one that I had maxed out to full legendary perks. My, how times have changed. I'm only going to go into detail on the weapons that are at power level 130 though. So looking at the first weapon here in alphabetical order, I'm starting off with my Storm King's Onslaught. I think this is by far my favorite pistol in the game. It's almost a hybrid pistol SMG because of the fire rate, but it's also the fact that it fires homing projectiles that seek out the target's head. It's absolutely so much fun to use. Up next is the Storm King Scourge. Between the damage output and the unique perk that applies a charge to an enemy hit with it that stacks up to 5 times and explodes when you hit 5 charges or switch targets, it really does put out tons of damage. I think I still prefer my Wraith, but that may honestly only be because it doesn't use energy ammo like the Scourge, and energy ammo is so expensive to craft. And no weapon uses more energy ammo currently than the Storm King's Wrath, the mythic launcher. It also puts out an incredible amount of damage and is so impactful when fighting the mythic Storm King, but I just don't use it much because the most powerful shots cost an insane amount of energy ammo. I have mine rolled to physical because I mostly only use it against the mythic Storm King. This way, it does the most damage possible against the crystals and the mini bosses. Moving out of the mythic ranged weapons, the next weapon is my boom bow. We've been getting a lot of bows lately, but this is still my favorite of them all because of the damage output and the AoE. It's also, I believe, the first weapon that I ever personally maxed out to 130. Up next is the Bundle Bus. I heard so much about this weapon watching videos when I first started playing, so this was the biggest weapon that I wanted out of the Year 2 birthday llamas last year. And with it being an important part of the Mythic Storm King meta, I absolutely needed to get this weapon leveled up to 130 with full legendary perks. And it's also rolled for physical for the same exact reason as the Mythic Launcher. Another weapon that is really helpful against the Mythic Storm King is the De-Atomizer 9000. I think this is my favorite launcher in the game now. It was my main weapon I used against the Mythic Storm King mini-bosses and on the damage phase of the Mythic Storm King battle, but it's also so great at wave clear in any defense because of the AoE effect it has. And while it does still use energy ammo, it uses far less than the Mythic Launcher. The next one is one of the most talked about weapons in the history of the game, the Gravedigger. I know this weapon suffered from power creeping, but I definitely think it's gotten better again now. I know I personally enjoy using it, and definitely plan to get it up to full legendary perks. Up next is probably my favorite SMG in the game, the Hemlock. I honestly hate how much I slept on this weapon when it first came out, but I have learned the error of my ways and have made it my main SMG. Up next is one of the 2 weapons I mainly only give to my sniper defenders, my Neon Sniper. I really love how you can use this weapon to see through and shoot through walls, and how defenders can also shoot through walls with it. But as with some other weapons, I don't use it as much because it costs energy ammo, which is also why I usually give a different sniper to my defenders. The next weapon is by far the most talked about weapon in the history of the game, at least in my opinion, the Nocturno. This weapon just recently got a huge buff, even though it was actually incredibly broken by the buff, and it has become so much more effective than it has ever been. I believe they have fixed this in update 12.40, which came out this week, but even without it being broken, it is actually a really fun and effective weapon to use again. The next is the other sniper that I use with my defenders, the Obliterator. I've also been guilty of using it myself as a pickaxe, as one shot can take down a tile, allowing you to quickly clear the area around a defense. But it is my favorite sniper to give to my defenders too, because they can shoot through walls with it as well, which is the main reason I made this weapon, as well as the Neon Sniper, Bright Core rather than Sunbeam, because I only give them to my defenders. When I was talking about SMGs earlier, I do have another that, while it may not be the best, I honestly do still love using. In my Midas loadout video, I was using the Typewriter as his main weapon. In that video, I said I would make it my next project so I could craft it myself, and as you can see here, I did. It was definitely worth the resources because it is just so much fun to use. Up next is my second favorite bow in the game, the Vacuum Tube Bow. This weapon is incredibly effective, especially when you pair it with Stoneheart Farah. The change you get from the bow, on top of the buff you get from her perk, just causes a ton of damage. The next weapon is another one of my favorite pistols in the game, the Whisper 45. This is actually my current project, as I am currently working on getting it to full legendary perks. It's such an effective weapon and one of my 2 favorite pistols to use that don't use energy ammo. Then, my favorite weapon overall still, my Wraith. I know that the Scourge can still put out more damage than the Wraith, but there's just something special about this weapon for me. I know it comes pretty close to putting out the same amount of damage, but it's not really the most effective AR in the game anymore. It is still my go-to ranged weapon unless I have to use something else for a challenge. Lastly, for my ranged weaponry, my other favorite pistol that doesn't use energy ammo, the Founder's Revolt. I just recently talked about this in my Deadpool video. I honestly love the bullet chain final perk, but I do still wish they would allow us to make it legendary so it could be more effective at the higher levels. After this, I have several weapons leveled up to 106, some of which I love and want to get up to 130, but some are mostly just memes, such as the first 4 weapons, the Blizzard Blitzer, the Ghost Pistol, Heartbreaker, and the Jacko Launcher. The Blizzard Blitzer is a pretty decent weapon that you can have a lot of fun freezing targets with, but there are more effective ways to freeze targets. I might still finish this one off someday, but that's a long time away. Same with the Ghost Pistol. It was a huge meme for a while because it really wasn't that great, but it did get buffed last Halloween, and it is actually pretty decent now. I won't be taking the Heartbreaker up any further than it is now because it's honestly still really not that great, unfortunately. I only took it up this far after Stoneheart Fire came out, but I think it's not really counting as a bow even though it really should, so it's no better with her than with anyone else. And I know the Jacko Launcher isn't the greatest, but I do still think it's fun to use. I will probably still max this one out. The next weapon though, I definitely will be maxing out at some point, which is my Water Pain Train. This weapon is still such a great weapon to use with a unique design, and I still love the train sound it makes when you equip it. Then I will also finish off my Snowball Launcher. Again, I know this is not one of the best launchers in the game, but I do still really enjoy it, and it will always hold a special place in my heart. The last 106 is my Fire Wraith. In the last account overview video, I said I wanted to make a Gravedigger my go-to fire weapon, and I didn't have one at that point. So now that I do, I think I'm going to stick with that plan still. So that's why nothing more will probably be done to this Wraith. The next group I'm going to go through quickly because they are either weapons I really don't use anymore or they're just current projects. Starting with the Helium Shotgun. I'm personally not a huge fan of shotguns in this game, but I did love this one when I was at the lower levels. There are just many other shotguns that have come out since that do a lot more damage. And the Noble Launcher is fun to use, but it costs energy ammo just like the Helium Shotgun, and with energy ammo again being so expensive to craft, I save that ammo for the mythic weapons. I do plan to work on my Santa's Little Helper though. I think it is still the launcher that has the highest impact in the game, so it can be really fun to bully smashers with. And I do honestly miss using the Super Shredder. It was my favorite sniper in the game because it felt like a sniper and shotgun hybrid, but I feel like it just doesn't do much in late game, so it will probably stay right where it is, just like the Ginger Blaster. I may work on this one at some point because I know it is a really good weapon, but there are other projects that will come first, like my next weapon, the Last Word. If you'll remember from my Harlequin loadout video, I had so much fun playing around with this gun that I decided to make it my next project. I just need to get all the evolution mats and perk up to make it happen. For the most part after that, I don't think I have any plans in the near future for anything else that I actually have favorited here. I have a ton favorited, so that's why I'm just scrolling through them, giving them only a couple of seconds for each one. I'm keeping them around in case I change my mind in the future, which I very well could do. I will say that one of these is going to be appearing in an upcoming installment of my Comic Book Legends series, so keep an eye out for that. But I'm going to go ahead and move on now to my melee section, which starts off with the Storm King's Fury, the Mythic Hammer. I haven't really used this one myself yet, but I know how much fun it is to use and how impactful it can be, which is one of the reasons I made sure to go ahead and max it out and put it to all legendary perks. I also just wanted to make sure that I had all of my mythic weapons maxed out as well. And now the last weapon I haven't covered yet, which is probably my favorite of them all, the Storm King's Ravager. This sword is by far the best sword in the game, at least in my opinion, and it has the best heavy attack of any sword as well. Being able to send a wave of energy out as if you were using a Noble Launcher can be so fun to do and can be incredibly helpful. That doesn't mean that I don't still love my Founder's Blazing Masamune though, because I definitely do. It's still a great weapon, but it just suffers from being locked to fire. But even then, the Ravager still outperforms this weapon on every level. Then I have my Neon Scythe, the first weapon I ever talked about on this channel a year ago now. I know most people prefer to use a different scythe when using scythes, but I still love the Neon Scythe personally. It will always hold a special place in my heart, as it was part of what inspired me to make my first video on this channel. Next up is another weapon I use when I'm going against the Mythic Storm King, the Surround Pound. My first of these was crafted for me by Demon Joe France when he helped me with my first time going against the Storm King, and I made sure to level this one up so I could keep using it as I continued fighting him, because it is incredibly helpful during the horn phases. The next set of weapons are what I mentioned just a moment ago when I said people usually prefer using a different scythe, and they are my Steam Thrashers. I had been working on making it to where I had one for each element, but I stopped that project in favor of other projects. My Fire and Water Steam Thrashers are up to full epic perks, and my Nature one is at full rare perks. I will probably still revisit this at some point, I'm just not exactly sure when. I also want to work on getting this Guardian's Will and my Spectral Blade leveled up, as I have been using them lately and absolutely love what they can do. And the last one I want to talk about is my Astrobat 9000. I also had so much fun using this one in my Harley Quinn video that I decided to make this one of my next projects as well. I have only gone this far on it because of some other goals I've been working on, but this is definitely one of my more important projects right now. I do still have several that I haven't done anything with that I know a lot of people do love, so this might be another thing that I work on in the future. But as I don't really have any immediate plans for them, I'm again just scrolling through them, only giving a couple of seconds to each one. Now for the last and quickest section of my schematics, my traps. I only have one power level 130 trap at this time, and it's this Cozy Campfire. These perks are a great setup for this, but I honestly can't remember whether it was CJ or Deathgrip who suggested them to me. For all I remember, it could have been both. I haven't really done anything more with my traps as far as the perks go, but that is one of the reasons my Twine Peaks SSD series is still delayed. One of the goals I want to reach before I do SSD 7 is to get my traps up to 130 and to actually work on the perks on each one. I do have every legendary trap in the game as far as I know. I just need to actually put in the grind to get the evolution materials as well as the perk up and reperk so that I can get them all to 130 and with the proper perks. Moving on to the collection book, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. When I last showed this in an account overview video, I was at level 240. In the 300 plus days since, I've gotten it up to 323. I do have all of the base game heroes now though. It doesn't appear that I do because they added the campaign heroes you earn from the quest lines in Canny Valley to the collection book, and there's really no way to get duplicates of those yet. And who knows if there ever will be. Personnel wise, I have every defender, survivor, and lead survivor slotted in the book, and I am only missing one mythic lead, which is Kara Indiana Loft. I already have one that I'm using as the lead for my training team squad, but I haven't gotten a second to put in the book yet. In the base game ranged weapon section, you can see that I do have all of those weapons in the book as well, even though the checks are not showing beside the pistols and SMGs. But when I go into each section though, you can see that there's nothing actually missing from any of them. So I'm not sure why those two don't have their checks. And I also have every base game melee weapon as well. On traps, I'm only missing an extra legendary sound wall and legendary tar pit. But since those two have come to the core llamas now, I can either research them or just get them from the llamas. Looking quickly at the event people section, this is where I'm missing heroes still. Either I have one in my inventory and I don't have a duplicate to put here, or I don't have a duplicate to keep in my inventory. And with some, they just haven't come back around yet for me to get a duplicate. I do have all of the expansion heroes in the collection book and most of the expansion schematics though. Before I go into the last section on my survivors though, I did say that this video was being made to celebrate a few milestones on my account and for my channel. I've only mentioned one so far, how many days I've been logged in, but I'm also wanting to celebrate 2 milestones on my channel as well. I'm releasing this video today because it is the exact 1 year anniversary since I uploaded my Harvester Sarah loadout video, which was the first YouTube video I ever made. I look back at it now and cringe a bit, but I am still proud of the work I did and what it has led to. Without the inspiration to make that video and without you all finding me and enjoying my content enough to stick around, my channel would not exist. So while I think I could have improved that first video, I also know that everyone has to start somewhere. Plus, every content creator cringes over their first videos. But there's yet another milestone. As of a couple of days before I uploaded this video, I finally hit 200 subs on YouTube. And I seriously cannot thank you all enough for what you've done to help get me there. I was at 189 just a few days ago, and I tweeted out that I would love to hit 200 before today, and you all showed up and helped get me there. So I just want to say a quick heartfelt thanks, not just for helping me get to 200, but for everything you all do. Showing up for premieres, putting up with the delays in my Twine Peaks SSD series, sharing my content so others can find me, and I will never be able to thank you all enough for everything you've done to help get me to this point. I cannot wait to tell you more about the plans I have for the channel as it continues to grow, but that's for another time. Now it's time to get back to the account overview and get to the last section I wanted to talk about, my survivor squads. As you can see here, every squad has a mythic lead and all legendary subordinates, as well as the 2 mythic subordinates. All my mythics, both leads and subordinates, are maxed out at level 50, and this leads me to the last milestone I'm hitting with this video, finally reaching power level 131. Thanks to some pretty great high-level 4x evolution materials missions lately, as well as help running those missions from CJ, Deathgrip, and Joden, I have all of the evolution materials I need to finally hit power level 131. So without further ado, it's time to speed through and make it happen. And that's that. I'm finally power level 131 after over 500 days playing the game. Honestly, I could have hit this much sooner as I've had all the survivors I've needed for a very long time, but I just kept using my evolution materials for other things. And that's okay that it took me this long. I would honestly rather not rush through things like this. I would rather just take my time and enjoy them. And I have really enjoyed grinding out and getting to this point. And I think that's going to do it for this newest account overview video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I don't know when I'm going to do another one of these. I might wait until around 700 or so. I'm not sure yet. But if you've liked this video and want me to do another in a couple hundred days or so, please like the video and let me know how long I should wait before I do another one. Maybe I'll do another for the 2-year anniversary of when I bought the game and played it for the first time. That could also be an interesting way to take it. I'm sorry that I haven't done anything more with the Comic Book Legends series yet. I had planned to have that series finished before working on this video, but I'm currently experiencing some writer's block when it comes to creating the cinematic intro for the Star-Lord video. But that might be all for the best, as the leaks have shown that with the 12.40 update this week, we are getting more Marvel skins at some point in the very near future. Hopefully I'll be able to add a couple more episodes to the series now. I'm already starting to plan 2 more loadouts. So if you want to see those videos and you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you can see those videos and any other videos as soon as they go live. With the next season being delayed by 5 weeks, I obviously won't be working on my end of season content just yet. I do have other series I've been planning, so I might start one of those instead, or I could do more with the Beginner's Game Guide series. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do after I finish the Comic Book Legends series yet, but follow me on Twitter at HBSerenityYT to keep up to date on what my plans are in the future. And as always, special shoutouts to my favorite Save the World content creators, both past and present: Latana, Demon Joe France, David Dean, Tori X, Aiden Harris, Rounded Tic Tac, Chedic, A1 Get This Money, Death Grip, Nilek Dreams, X Samantha, and Enforcer. I've linked all of their channels in the description down below, so please make sure to go and show them some love. Thanks again for watching, and stay cool, geeks. Have a great day, and please stay safe out there.